everybody, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, and especially our four-legged friends. It's your boy, the nonprofit sector connector. And it's so funny because I have a show called Philanthropy in Focus, and this show here called the Professionals and Animal Lovers Show. And on Friday, I started off Philanthropy in Focus like this: welcome to the Professionals and Animal Lovers Show. And I said, that's not the right name of this program. So I'm trying to keep the two things separate. This show came out of an idea. Valerie, I'm reading a book, actually. It was referred to me from a friend. It's in my bag. I'll show it to you in a little while.
Okay.
It's called Start Something That Matters. And it's
Aww,
by, you know that?
I
You know
love
that?
that. No, I don't know it, but I love that already.
No, it's actually by Blake McCoskey,
Okay.
the guy who invented Tom's shoes.
I love that guy.
So
Great company.
I'm actually in an undisclosed location in the southern United States right now. Very mysterious. So I actually made a connection with a new friend, Nick, earlier this week, and he told me about this book. So I was reading this book, and one of the most important parts of this story is the story. And the story for this show, Professionals and Animal Lovers Show, I like to say your Professionals and Animal Lovers Show, because we come here together to learn, to educate, and to advocate. And I am far from an advocate, but I hang out with an incredible advocate, and she knows a lot of stuff, and she keeps giving me information. Her name is Valerie. And one day, Valerie came to me and said, Tommy D, I want to do a show and I want to talk about animal advocacy. And that's some 6 months, 7 months ago. And now we're here doing this every Wednesday at 2 p.m. on talkradio.nyc, talking alternative broadcasting on the Facebook, or maybe it's the Meta right now. I don't know what it's called, Val, but I like the word the.
That's something.
Right. So this is the Professionals and Animal Lovers Show. All right, so let's dive into this. There was some sort of, I don't know what the backstory is specifically about Wendy and our guest Karen, who will be joining us shortly as well, about the rabbits. But there's something about rabbits, there's something about Mary, but there's something about rabbits. And you might have heard Valerie, how do I say this nicely, was trying to convince me to foster a rabbit. That has not yet happened. More to come on that conversation. There's a lot of parties that are involved in that discussion. It's not like a United Nations negotiation, but I will say I don't have the final vote. We'll say that. We'll just leave it right there for now. We'll talk about, we got 58 more minutes to talk about the rabbit situation, so maybe we'll dive back into it. Every week we come together to, like I say, learn, educate, and advocate. And I'll tell you, Val, one last thing before we dive into this week's show. I was on a phone call about an hour and a half ago with a woman named Jill, who is in, not Milwaukee, not Minneapolis, Minnesota. In Minnesota, and has a rescue. And she was telling me about what they do for really sick and injured animals with disabilities. She was introduced to us from our friend Mick Collins, who you and I talk about, big fan of the show. And this particular, there's like 300 rescues there in Minnesota in her area, but they do something to really find a spot for these special needs pets. And tell me a story how
I'm going to just respectfully disagree with you with something you just said.
What did I say?
You said you're not an advocate.
Oh,
I officially
I was in trouble. I didn't know it was
officially beg to differ. No, you're never in trouble, at least not with me. But I will tell you that A, you have an open mind and an open heart, and B, I see you with your compassion and empathy from hearing from these people who we've had on as guests, and they're describing situations and stories that really happen. Everything from what's going on with puppy mills to the improper treatment of community cats and everything. And you have the heart for it. But also last week, yes, or the week before, I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. We brought up a bill that someone had mentioned, and you were reading it and educating me on it. And that was like my proudest moment. I was
the proud mama, right? The proud papa. And yeah, I mean, so not to be self-deprecating or anything, but like I don't, I'm trying to be an advocate. I'm not at the rallies. I'm not doing the stuff, but I'm trying to educate people. So look, that's what this is about. Life is about evolution. Life is about growth.
Yeah.
And if we're going to stay on this planet with other species, it's got to be about compassion. Shout out to Compassion Awards. I'm sure we'll talk about it, but we are thrilled about the Compassion Awards, which will be coming up, in a matter of months here on Long Island, albeit I'm not here on Long
Yes.
Island, but they're on Long Island up north. All
So
right.
excited.
So
So the
we are excited.
rabbits, if I could briefly, I would like to just honor this rescue, because not that I'm taking away from any other type of rescue. However, I think the predominant rescues are usually focused around dogs and cats, which are the most popular companion animals. However, rabbits face the same challenges, and they face the same, even more so. I think actually rabbits are more inclined to be dumped into someone's, local park or area, because the owners will just think that, oh, it was cute for a while, but I'm going to let it run free, and they don't realize they're doing anything, harmful. But the point is that rabbit rescues in general, they really need a lot more attention than they get. So we're happy to garner and bring some spotlight over to this organization, which is all about rabbits rescue. And today, right now with us is Wendy Thompson. She's with their Jersey branch, right? And we would love, love, love for you to talk about the mission, what a day in the life of a rescuer for rabbits looks like, how we can help you. If you have that event that you'd like to talk about, just let's dive in.
All About Rabbits Rescue was founded by my director, who was having lunch in a park one afternoon and felt like someone was watching her. And sure enough, creepy. There was a very tiny little bunny watching her. He came right up to her and he asked for her help.
Oh my God.
So she took him in. She knew nothing about rabbits. She tried finding placement for him. There was no place for him to go, and nobody wanted him. So he fomented the starting of the rescue. His name was Bunster, also known as Monkey Joe. And he was the tiniest little bun with the biggest attitude. The very first time I met him, I was offering my friendship and so happy to meet the guy who started it all, and he bit me. Yes, so he has since passed on. He passed away a couple of years ago.
Wendy, I got to get in.
Yeah.
Love at first bite.
Yes.
Oh boy.
That should be the name of this episode.
Well, he might have misinterpreted the situation. He might have thought that, some other woman was competing for his love.
Yes, it's very possible. Although he had two women, he had Vivian, my director, and he had his own bun wife. So maybe it's most likely I was intruding on his territory and getting in his face, and I deserved it.
His name was Bunster, but then his nickname was Monkey Joe. I love that because you know what's funny? I always think it's hysterical, and I've heard this maybe comedians say it one night, like how we name an animal a certain name, and then we have all these nicknames. But then I'm hearing you say Bunster, then Monkey Joe, and I'm going, I do that to my kids. I do that to my friends. Like, like I'm not going to get into the names, but we have names that this became a nickname that turned into this, and it turned into this. And it's has nothing to do with the guy's original name. It's just sort of like, the nickname got a nickname. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Yes, 100%. We all do. So, therein began the journey. And I think that we have just surpassed 500 adoptions.
Wow.
And, the reach is from, Jersey right into Long Island. I think we've even done a couple in Connecticut, but those were, that was very close Connecticut. And they were people who already had experience. If for newbies, for new adopters, people that are new to rabbits, we really try to do our very best to educate about proper housing, diet, care, all of the things that they need to be happy and healthy. Because if the rabbit is happy and healthy, their adopter is more likely to be very happy with them. An unhappy rabbit acts out and they're abandoned at the highest rates. When pets of any sort don't fit with people's preconceived notions of them, that's when it all goes awry.
It's said to me that for the most part, it's difficult to find shelters to accept rabbits. That's part of the problem, and why people also will just release them into a backyard or a park or something. And they, in their mind, they think, oh, you know, they're perfectly fine out there. But you know, finding a place to take the rabbits when they're not wanted any longer, or if God forbid someone passes away and nobody wants the pet, you know, that's got to be a big part of the difficulty. But what does an unhappy rabbit look like? Let's start with that.
An unhappy rabbit is kept in way too small a space, fed the incorrect diet, handled much more than they would care to be. Most rabbits do best with 4 feet on the ground and interacted with at their level rather than being picked up off the ground, which, I mean, very few are okay with that, I'll tell you.
Okay, good. That's good to know.
So just
Val and Wendy, if I can understand something, because I don't even understand the origin of why they're abandoned. So can we go back, especially as we approach the Easter holiday, which I imagine more people, you know, shout out to our friend John DiLeonardo. I'm sure he's, you know, we're going to talk about chicks and baby chicks and all the stuff with that soon. But like there were some rabbits in my neighborhood. Like I saw, we don't see them anymore. I don't know. They were definitely outdoor rabbits. Why do I say that? I don't know, because they were outdoors, I guess. Like I have no.
Wearing a little jacket.
No, yeah, they had mittens on and winter hats. No, Val, they did not have that. Although that's a cute show. We should draw that show. We should write it and draw it in cartoons and stuff. But I'm a big Bugs Bunny fan, but that's a whole nother thing. But they were outdoor. They were like, I don't think someone put them out there after they were done with having them as a pet. So I guess my question is, and we're coming up against a break, so I'll ask it, and then Wendy, when we come back, maybe we could talk about it. Like, what is it that your rescue is seeing them in a park and realizing that there's a need to bring them in? And hold your answer for me too, because we're going to go to break. But or is it the other thing that I think Valerie was talking about? A family has a rabbit for one reason or another, and they need to now find a better place for the rabbit. I'm going to let you think about that, because we're going to take a 90-second break. This show goes super fast, so buckle in. Hold on tight. This is your Professionals and Animal Lovers show. I'm your boy, Tommy D. That's Valerie. That's Wendy. All About Animal Rescue is here. We'll be right back.
Are you a business owner? Do you want to be a business owner? Do you work with business owners? Hi, I'm Stephen Fry, your small and medium-sized business, or SMB guy, and I'm the host of the new show, Always Friday. While I love to have fun on my show, we take those Friday feelings of freedom and clarity to discuss popular topics on the minds of SMBs today. Please join me and my various special guests on Friday at 11 a.m. on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant. And on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays, 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
Are you on edge? Hey, we live in challenging, edgy times, so let's lean in. I'm Sandra Bargman, the host of The Edge of Every Day, which airs each Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on talkradio.nyc. Tune in live with me and my friends and colleagues as we share stories and perspectives about pushing boundaries and exploring our rough edges. That's The Edge of Every Day on Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC. Uplift, educate, empower.
This is the Professionals and Animal Lovers Show. So the organization is all about rabbits rescue, which is that is not a rabbit rescue. That is a cat, Valerie. That is a cat. What cat is that now? As my rule is, if you show up on the Zoom screen, you must introduce yourself. So who's that?
This is Phoebe. She's doing her weekly cameo.
Hello, Phoebe.
She expects to get paid.
Well,
Puppy was here before.
No one gets paid on this show, Val. So Phoebe, get online. So listen, so Jovi hasn't showed up in a couple weeks. Wendy, we have our friend Jovi. He's almost like our mascot, but he hasn't been around.
He is, and it's National Puppy Day, and he's not a puppy anymore, but to me, he'll always be my puppy. So I might have to get him after the next commercial break.
Yeah, he had a birthday recently, didn't he?
Yes, his birthday was 2 days ago. I can't believe it.
Yeah, happy birthday, Jovi. So I'm reading off my phone here. So the mission of All About Rabbits Rescue is to rescue the abandoned and neglected rabbits and help with them with their placement in their forever homes in the New York City area. Shout out to Queens. The organization actually really is kind of out of Queens, really, right, Wendy? I know we have some connection to Jersey, some connection to Long Island, but I will, as you probably are aware, everybody listening, like this matters to anybody, Queens is definitely my favorite borough. Shout out to Queens, shout out to the Queens Chamber of Commerce, et cetera, et cetera. So educating potential owners and current owners on responsible care of rabbit surrenders and supporting legislation to support these animals. So
hold on one second. I think your question was like, how do you tell what is the difference between an animal that was dumped and prior someone's pet?
That's part of the question. Okay. And also, the second part of the question, I guess, is like why are they, and how do you know that they need help? So that's kind of the question.
That's a good question.
Okay, so there is one type only in this area of wild rabbit that is considered wildlife, and that is the eastern cottontail. And it is a brown agouti, fairly short-eared, scrawny, skinny head, eyes slightly bugged out. That's all we have.
Other than that, they're not
in this area. Anything else, any other color is domestic. And in fact, in December, early December, I caught a rabbit that was running loose around a lumber yard, but it had the same brown coloring as the eastern cottontail. So people really weren't paying much attention to it until someone walked by with her dog and the rabbit came toward her. So she took video of it and asked about it, and it was a domestic, because cottontails are wired to run for their lives.
Yeah.
They're prey. They're low on the chain.
Right.
Anything that approaches you like that is not going to be a wild rabbit looking out for its safety.
Survival,
What a great tell. And I know those rabbits. So that's another reason. Not that I saw their bug out eyes or their skinny face, but I saw them boogie. They move. Man, they get under fences, are they, I mean, now I'm being silly, but they're related to rats and mice and that kind of, they're not. Okay.
No, they're not rodents. No rabbits are rodents. They're a lagomorph. It has to do with the shape of the jaw. And they're actually more closely related to chinchillas. Little long-haired, they look like rodents, but the jaw, it's the way the jaw is formed.
I've heard of them a lot, but don't they tragically, and this is certainly people on my show are going to be enraged about, isn't that what they use to make coats, chinchilla, right? Isn't that
Sure. There's plenty of rabbit used.
Right.
And rabbits too.
And rabbit too. Do you remember, this, thank God, doesn't exist anymore as far as I know, but
I know what you're going to say. Yes, I was a child in the 70s. Yes. So I think I may have had one too.
Keychains with rabbits.
Good luck. It's good luck.
Allegedly good luck, right? And
it was good luck. It wasn't good luck for that rabbit who got a
No, it was not. And but
were those real?
Yes.
They were?
Yes. We take
a
moment.
Had little fingers in it. If you
the
pull
nails, if we take a second though to realize and recognize that doesn't happen anymore. So that, and also speaking of chinchillas, as well as rabbits, because rabbit fur was also desirable for the lining of gloves and, whatever.
Angora for sweaters.
We have made progress. And this is why we have to continue to spread the word, educate, because that stuff, furriers are for the most part shut down. Like, you know, the fur trade.
There's still some out there, Val. I see.
There are, but for the most part, what I'm saying is, for the most part, let's put it this way. If you look back, or even on TV shows, based in that time era, the 70s into the 80s, you know, fur was like a status symbol, you know what I mean? And now it's rare. I did see someone, she was this older woman, and I was in a nail salon, and long story short, we ended up sitting next to each other at the dryers. Like, I kind of didn't have a choice, but she was
you said something, right?
No, she was like 90, and she had like an aide with her, and she was clearly she didn't have all of her marbles. And I was like squirming in my own skin. But at the same time, I'm like, first of all, I'm not going to change this person. Second of all, she's, you know, got one foot on a banana peel. But I just sat there and I was like, oh my God, get me out of here. Get me out of here.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. What? This is a compassionate show. We're here to help animals and people. Yes. Now she's got one foot on a banana peel. Well, I don't even know what that means. Does that mean she's going to slip?
She was on her way out. But listen, we have another guest with you.
We do have another guest. Karen, welcome to PALS, Karen.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry about that.
No, we're glad you're here.
You know what? You got here when you were supposed to be here. That's how this show works. It's perfect. So I just want to make one more comment about the whole fur thing, and then we could put that to bed for a bit. But have you seen the movie American Gangster with Denzel? Great movie, by the way. Frank Lucas, he's a gangster. You didn't see it, Val?
I think I did. I don't know.
I'll talk to Barry. It's a great movie. So anyway, he wears this, I think it's a chinchilla coat, but it's like neck down to his ankles, and the hat and the whole thing. And it's an era. I mean, I had grandparents who wore the mink coat, you know, like that was like a thing. Like,
but that's my point. We've made a lot of progress.
We're evolving. We're evolving.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Can I interject here for a moment?
Yeah.
Although, yes, big, long, full-length coats are no longer in style, at least right now, and hopefully never again. It really wasn't all that long ago, only a couple of years, maybe slightly before COVID, everyone was walking around with those knit hats with the fur pom-pom, or those slide type shoes that look like slippers that were fur. So I really don't, although we may have evolved and many people may be considering fur as inhumane now, more and more people, I hope, are more aware.
Yeah.
It's still out there.
No, I'm sure it is. I wasn't aware of that, but I didn't but then again, I'm not exactly, you know, I'm not a fashion trendy. I don't really care.
See, you know what? I'm a Maxxinista.
Okay.
Ladies, so I don't know if you know about that. TJ Maxx, that's my store. I'm a Maxxinista. So it's a different thing. It's not exactly a fashionista, but like it's similar, I guess. But no, I get your point too, Wendy. Like, we are evolving. We're not evolved. If we were evolved, we wouldn't have to have this show every week, right? There wouldn't be people out there doing the work on the front lines that you all are doing.
Fair point.
Yeah.
Right. This is where so I'm with you. We're not done. We're trying to turn the curve.
I wasn't aware of that though, but I will say though, I have seen some really, really awesome like faux fur pieces. And actually our friend Joanne from the Humane Society, she has beautiful taste in clothing and she's very stylish and all that. She has a lot of like faux stuff, faux fur, whatever. You wouldn't know. It's beautiful, it's soft, it feels good, you know, and it's warm, whatever. But so back to the rabbits. What I really want you guys to also inform us and educate us about is hypothetically, someone who listens to this show or might stumble onto this show may be interested in helping. Let's say there's a potential foster out there, right? And what does that look like? What does that entail? How many hours a day? You know, how much space in your house? I've heard, you know, you hear different things. Some of them are litter trained, which sounds awesome. Some people might say, ew, they smell, you know, please tell us what that looks like and legitimately what someone can expect if they foster a cute little bunny.
Would you like to take the floor, Karen, for this question, or?
Sure. Thanks, Wendy. As far as the space goes, it's the regular habitat for most of the day at a minimum is usually about 4 feet by 4 feet. So it's not a very large space in your home. And we always recommend time out of the pen during the day or in the evening, whenever it's best. A couple of hours would be fantastic so that they can roam around, explore, exercise, interact more with you and your family. So it really doesn't take up a heck of a lot of space. And I've fostered plenty of rabbits. I think Wendy would agree. They don't smell as long as you're cleaning up after them properly, like any other pet or family member. Mm-hmm. And most of them.
Karen, I gotta laugh because plenty of family members can be pretty stinky if we don't clean up after them too. So I get what you're saying.
Are stinkier than rabbits. Yes, that is true.
And so when you foster, if you foster through All About Rabbits Rescue, you get provisions for the animal. Okay. Tell us about that.
We supply the basic setup if you are going to be fostering with us, which would include the 4x4 pen that Karen spoke of, water bowl, food bowl, litter box, initial supplies. And we hope from there, we expect from there that you'll pick up the ball and supply, after your initial starter supplies dwindle down, that you'll supply the rest. Mm-hmm. So there's hay, there's high quality rabbit food, and then there's the fresh greens, freshly washed variety of greens every day that they would need to stay happy and healthy. And the maintenance and cleaning and love, most importantly, right. Love. There are, I would say, 2 different types, if I want to make general categories of foster homes. There's the initial intake foster homes that will take any rabbit, broken, bleeding, sick, ailing, and those would be our primary fosters. Myself, the director, Karen, and several others are capable of doing that, where we sort of nurse them back, get them on the mend, get them seen by veterinarians, and then they would be ready to go on to the secondary foster homes where they can decompress and learn to love and learn to trust and get the exercise they need while they await their forever home.
I have so many questions about this. So like if somebody is taking in a rabbit as a foster, what's the average turnaround time until they get adopted usually?
Okay, so that can vary greatly depending upon the desirability of the rabbit. Mm-hmm. I will first say that the much larger rabbits or the big white ones with red eyes do wait a lot longer because they're not the little cutesy ones with lop ears that everyone thirsts after. Mm-hmm. I will say that I try especially hard to match the personality of the rabbit with the family it is going to. Mm-hmm. If it's a noisy, active family with children and laughter and lots of action, you can't put a sensitive, nervous rabbit there. You need one with a sturdy personality who can join in on the fun.
Okay, right. I agree. Okay.
Just as you would never put a rabbit that may have, a slight bite history, probably out of fear, may never happen again, but you want to be very careful about placing that with a child. Yeah. Of course, we expect all the children to be very gentle and respectful of a rabbit's nature and not try to pick it up. We expect
they shouldn't bite the rabbit either.
Right, it's reciprocal. You're right.
It's kind of a basic rule. All right, here's the pool ground rules: no biting, and then everything, and then we'll go from there.
No biting.
That's why I love you. That's why I love you, Tommy D.
I think it's a good rule to have. I'm not a big rule follower, but if I was writing a rule, that would be a good one. Here's a rule I have to follow. We got to take a quick break. This is the Professionals and Animal Lovers show. Karen and Wendy are here. Valerie is, of course, here, and I am here. Tommy D. We'll be right back. Professionals and Animal Lovers Show.
Franklin McElroy, host of the new podcast, Gateway to the Smokies. It airs on talkradio.nyc every Tuesday night from 6 p.m. to 7. Every episode is dedicated to memorable experiences in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park and surrounding areas. This show features experts and locals who will expound upon the richness of culture, history, and adventure that awaits you in the Smokies. Tune in every Tuesday from 6 p.m. to 7 on talkradio.nyc.
Are you passionate about the conversation around racism? Hi, I'm Reverend Dr. TLC, host of the Dismantle Racism Show, which airs every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc. Join me and my amazing guests as we discuss ways to uncover, dismantle, and eradicate racism. That's Thursdays at 11 o'clock a.m. on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a small business trying to navigate the COVID-19 related employment laws? Hello, I'm Eric Sauver, employment law, business law attorney, and host of the new radio show, Employment Law Today. On my show, we'll have guests to discuss the common employment law challenges business owners are facing during these trying times. Tune in on Tuesday evenings from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Time on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc, now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Welcome back to the PAL Show. Welcome back, everybody. We're thrilled to have you here. I just wrote that during the break. Uplift, educate, and empower. That's what we do here on talkradio.nyc. And I love those commercials because it says professionals serving community. And that's what we're trying to do here. So thank you, Valerie, for the compliment. I will call myself AAT, Animal Advocate in Training. Okay, so I'm learning to do this stuff. So every week I learn a little bit more, and every week I hope we're teaching you all who are listening a little bit more.
So Tommy, let's jump back in with like, let's say hypothetically we know a family, you know, they have children.
I knew for 30 minutes you were just setting this up. I know when you're asking these two women questions about families and rabbits and the fit and stuff.
Me?
Yeah.
That's a hypothetical.
Go ahead, I'll stop.
And you know, they have their own home, and they have most likely the ability to be great fosters. Like, what would you say to them about the experience, and let's say specifically for their children? Like, is it a good experience? Is it an important experience? What are they going to get out of it as a family?
I will let Karen take that because she is a mother. And I think that women with children can best speak to that.
It's such a great experience. My daughter is heavily involved in not only the actual rescue aspect, but the fostering. It's great for reinforcing being responsible, caring for and respecting living beings. And also to just enjoy the beauty of the journey that these rabbits go on. You know, as Wendy mentioned before, we take them in, sometimes they're kind of broken, and we get to help them put their pieces back together and gain their strength and start to love and accept love.
That's
and
amazing.
Watch them go
off. Sorry, Karen. I'm sorry. I lost it. Please continue.
Just watching them then go off to their families, anybody who gets through the screening process and brings home a rabbit, they're wonderful people. So my daughter being able to experience that with the rabbits and with me is just, it's beautiful.
So the joke, everybody who may not pay attention to this show, is Valerie has, I'm not sure if starting the show is more important or convincing me to get a pet was more important. I think they was like running neck and neck. If anybody watches horse racing, which is a whole nother show we should do, because that's, I know, not a good thing that we're racing horses, but 1 and 1A. I think Valerie wanted me to get a pet and wanted to launch the Professionals and Animal Lovers show at the same time. So that's sort of the inside joke that I want to make sure everybody else is in on, that we're talking about a rabbit situation in my home. So that's sort of the joke. But I want to ask you something. I want to ask you a million things, but let's start with this one. I think it was Karen who mentioned they have a personality. When you're putting somebody putting one of these animals in a home, you look for the social one. Maybe it was Wendy to link that up. Are they really social animals? Like, I know when we deal with dogs, air quotes, personality, that we put these personalities on these dogs, but they come up, they nuzzle. Can the rabbit be playful like that as well? Because I don't know much about that whole interaction.
Absolutely. And like dogs and cats and humans, they're very individual. So some of them are friendlier than others. Some like to interact more than others. But absolutely, there are many rabbits who crave that interaction with their humans, and they will come running right over to you. They will nuzzle up with you or climb up on your lap and settle in for a bit. They'll play with toys with you. They absolutely have huge personalities.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, I had a rabbit who, when we let him out of his little area, his little, condo, it was like an Olympic rabbit. I feel like he was like jumping in the air and he was like an acrobatic rabbit, and he was so cool. I wish the technology that exists today existed back then, because his slow-mo videos, it would have been like watching, what was that? What's the famous snowboarder, Shaun
White.
Yeah, it would have been like watching Shaun White do like tricks in the air.
Really?
Yeah, it was so good.
Is this a rabbit you had as an adult, or when you were a kid?
No, I was in like 4th grade. I always refer to my childhood as grades. But anyway, they can be very entertaining and really lovable. But his thing was he never wanted to go back inside. So trying to get him to like stop playing was always a challenge. So
that was my 20s, and the beginning of my 30s were like that, Val. I never wanted to stop playing. It was always just playtime.
Yeah, up all night, sleep all day. What are the deal breakers for, like, when someone submits an application? Like, is it they have a dog, or they have cats, or like what do you guys feel is not a good fit for someone?
I will say, when we get an application where there are already 4 dogs, 5 cats, a lizard, a couple of guinea pigs, how we really do, as much as we want to get these rabbits in homes, we have to really think about if any 2 or 3 of those animals got sick at one time, or even consecutively, would they be able to pay for the vet care? And do they have enough space and time to devote to that kind of menagerie? So it's about space. It's about financial resources.
Right.
If they have any veterinary history, how well they kept up on the care of either the animals they currently have or the animals that they previously had. Vet references go a long, long way.
Yeah.
What would you like to add to that, Karen?
I think you covered everything.
I mean, I guess it would also be their understanding of the care involved if they are new to rabbits, or if they aren't new to rabbits.
I'm sorry. I was just thinking about working hours, or like the amount of time that someone's home. I mean, that prohibited me from getting a dog. I mean, it was on my own volition. I knew I wasn't going to be a good dog parent at a certain time in my life, where I left the house at like 6:30 in the morning and didn't walk back in until like 8:30, 9 o'clock. So is that also applicable?
Well, we all have to work to earn a living. And the nice thing about rabbits is that they are crepuscular. They are dawn and dusk animals. So they perk up in the morning and they're up for a bit, and then they go down to nap for, you know, late morning through the afternoon. And then they perk up again in the evening and they're active again in the evening. So if you ask me, they're not even active when you're at work usually.
I just learned a new word. Thank you.
Yeah. Can you say that word again, Wendy?
Crepuscular.
Crepuscular.
Just like deer. CREPUS.
I love it. I love learning new words.
On the Professionals Animal Lovers Show, we do three things.
Crepuscular.
We educate. That's the one we just did there. We learn and we advocate. So thank you, Wendy. Crepuscular.
Crepuscular with a C.
Crepuscular. And I feel like we're at the spelling bee. Can you use it in a sentence? What is the origin of the word?
Karen, I know, I believe I spoke with you once a long time ago. It was probably between 6 and 12 months ago, which isn't that long ago, but you were, I believe, on your way to check out a situation with some rabbits being reported as showing up in someone's backyard. I believe it was Garden City off the top of my head. But I guess what I'm curious about is like, what's a typical situation look like for you as rescuers? Like, I know for me, I get these crazy messages all the time, and then I end up usually sending them out to my repertoire of trappers or people who I think can help. Like if someone found an injured squirrel, I usually call John DiLeonardo. You know, if someone needs, all of a sudden someone has 25 cats in their backyard, I now have my trappers to call. Do you guys get a lot of calls like, hey, there's a rabbit off the southern state? It doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, what's this look like if someone wanted to volunteer? What are they doing?
It is quite similar, Valerie. We get calls, we're tagged in Facebook posts, messages are sent to us very frequently, unfortunately. And, you know, depending on the situation, we quite often will call in other rescuers within the organization, and we'll try to get as much information as we can on where the rabbits are, how long they've been there, what condition they're in. And then we move into action to try to line up a foster home and go and catch them safely.
So you don't have, Karen, if I'm correct about this, do you have like, so that example, it's on the southern state, you send your folks out there, they pick it up, but it sounds like it's an emergency foster situation. There's not, you don't have a building, you don't have somewhere to house these animals initially. Is that correct? You do not?
That's have a facility. So all of the rabbits are brought immediately into foster care.
Wow. So you have your fosters kind of like on the ready, like, hey, you know we can go to these handful of folks if we get a rabbit. Not always, Wendy. I see your face. No?
Not always. I mean, how many can we really pile into our own homes without, you know, without it becoming a little bit weird, without affecting our, you know, our own quality of life more than it is already effective? Like, how many animals could you have in your house? Tell me.
Right now, zero.
How many animals
we have two fish.
pack in there?
No, we can't. This is what the show's all about. It's part advocacy, part convincing me to get a pet. That's what I told you, Wendy. That's what the show's all about.
Yes, don't worry. We're going to be dropping off right after the show.
Yeah, I'll tell you this.
I want to help, Val. But Val, before you take us to a break, because I know that's what you got to do. But I want to go out and help you catch one of these rabbits one day.
Yes.
Oh, all right. Yeah, your number will be given to our.
I don't know how. But I'm not saying I can foster the animal, but I want to come out and help because I think it would be kind of fun. See, Wendy, I know I'm not taking the animal. I'm just trying to be helpful. But at the same point, if I fall in love with the thing, I got to deal with that. And that's a whole nother conversation. But what I'm saying is, I think it would be fun to go out and do this, and we video it, we record. I say videotape to my kids. They go, "What is videotaping?" But I go, we'll record it, and then we can do like put the video out and be like, "Look, this is what this organization's doing." Do you do a lot of that on social media? Like, do you put that stuff out there of like being on the rescue? Like,
I have tried, but usually it's hard to be camera person and Elmer J. Fudd at the same time.
Then we'll pick. One of us will be camera person and one will be Elmer J. Fudd.
Okay.
We'll figure it out.
So-
I have cameras and like tripods and all kind of cool stuff. Like I got a GoPro right over here on my desk. Like we could bring this out. Like I could wear it like on my chest. All right, we got to go to break.
When we come back, we definitely are going to talk about the overpopulation and what people can do to help. And also just emphasize the fact that Easter is coming up and these precious innocent creatures are not gifts or Easter decorations.
No, just get your kids marshmallow peeps. They're delicious. And stop bringing home rabbits.
All right, we'll be back.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host a program, Philanthropy in Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc.
In a post-COVID world, you may have many unanswered questions regarding your health. Are you looking to live a healthier lifestyle? Do you have a desire to learn more about mental health and enhance your quality of life? Or do you just want to participate in self-understanding and awareness? I'm Frank R. Harrison, host of Frank About Health, and each Thursday, I will tackle these questions and work to enlighten you. Tune in every Thursday at 5 p.m. on talkradio.nyc, and I will be frank about health to advocate for all of us.
Calling all pet lovers.
Pet Avengers, assemble!
On the Professionals and Animal Lovers show, we believe the bond between animal lovers is incredibly strong. It mirrors that bond between pets and their owners. Through this program, we come together to learn, educate, and advocate.
Join us live every Wednesday at 2 p.m. at talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Okay. Here we go. So this is like the lightning round. I'm going to warn you guys, the last segment of the show really flies. And before we do anything, I have a couple of quick announcements that I'm going to make, and I want to jump back into the space of rabbits. But right now in the state of New York, in the Senate, there is a bill. It is 90-A, sponsored by Kaminsky, Helming, and Hinchey. And what we're looking to do is rewrite the legislation that regulates punishment regarding organized dog fighting rings and everything that pertains to that paraphernalia. You don't really want me to go into all of the hideous practices that these rings involved, but let's look into that, support it. Also relevant to the rabbits is the anti-puppy mill bill legislation still stuck in codes committee. What we need everyone to do is to actually reach out, and there's a great resource on Facebook. It's Puppy Mill Free NY. This affects companion animals being sold in retail stores. We need to end the puppy mill and kitten mill and rabbit mills. Same thing exists for rabbits as puppy mills. There's rabbit mills. Call Assemblywoman Rosenthal. We need one more sponsor on this bill to get it out of codes and onto the floor for a vote. If this thing gets to the floor, we believe it will pass. We have that sponsor. It is just not been processed. So we need everyone to call Assemblywoman Rosenthal, 518-455-5802, and ask her to pass and process that sponsorship, and we will get this historical, important bill to the floor.
Val,
Okay.
how do we get, let's really just kind of key in on something. Assemblywoman Rosenthal, you said?
Yes, who ironically, she actually has sponsored this bill. So there's no reason for her not to process this final. You need a certain amount of sponsors to get it out of a committee and then pushed onto the floor. We have it. We just need her at her office to process it. The bill will go to the floor.
I'm gonna be up in Albany with the Queen's Chamber of Commerce on I think it's May 12th. So, let's supply. I could have said this to you later on our phone conversation, but I'm putting it out there to the world so everybody can think this way. As an advocate in training, excuse me, this is how we think. This is the handbook for advocates in training. But think about how you can make impact. Think about how you can influence people. So what I'm saying is, give me this stuff, and when I'm up there, what was the timeline on this?
Well, we need everyone to do it sooner because I believe session ends. We have less than 30 days, I believe.
All right, so then we need to make some phone calls. So can we share this later on Facebook? I'm operating off of one screen, which is not exactly
100%.
So later on, we'll share it on Facebook.
Yes. All right, so we only have a few minutes left, roughly 10-ish, 10 and change. So I want you guys to please educate us and the public. What can we do to help reduce the overpopulation of these rabbits humanely?
I think the number one thing is adopt. Don't buy animals. Adopt when you're ready, and understand going into it that it is a lifetime commitment. Mm-hmm. And for a rabbit, that can mean 10 to 12 years. Mm-hmm. So as long as they are ready for that kind of a long-term commitment, please, there's just thousands and thousands of rabbits out there right now looking for adoptive homes. Mm-hmm. Speaking up, by contacting your local legislators to put this bill through, it's such a critical part of all of this.
Yes, thank you, Karen.
Yeah, and and of course, we always need people to help with rescues, to open up their homes as foster homes too. It's just as important. We can't do what we do without foster homes.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question about this, because when I learned about feral cats, I learned that there's a solution, but those cats end up staying out there. We bring them in, we do the spay and the neuter, and then we return them to where they were. But I know you made a comment about this in the chat, Wendy, that you wanted to talk about this. What I'm not clear about is you have these, we're really talking about, well, I don't know what we're talking about, candidly. Like domestically, the domestic animals aren't supposed to be out there anyway. So it's not like we're bringing them in, spaying and neutering them, and then bringing them back. Can you speak to that whole piece so I understand what we're trying to do?
So yes, so if you're not going to adopt an already spayed, neutered pet, it really is so important to be willing to do the spay and neuter yourself. Exotic animal care is not cheap. People often get rabbits as pets because they think that they're easier, they're less expensive, but nothing could be further from the truth. Spaying and neutering is quite expensive, and it is hard to find low-cost options. Very often when people go to breeders, they'll buy 2 babies. They'll think they're sisters or brothers, and it turns out they're not. And before they know it, they're contacting us because they've got a problem of 15 to 30 rabbits in their house.
Wait, hold on. What's a litter? It's not like 15, is it?
No, it's not. Generally, a litter is between 2 and 10, anywhere in there.
10?
But if the mother and the father are together at the time of birth, that mother is going to have another litter in another 30 days, which is why people say they like rabbits. So yes. So
I thought when I learned about cats on this particular program here, Professionals and Animal Lovers Show, I was like, we should be talking about cats that way. No, now I know why we say like rabbits, right?
Exactly. So, right. Spaying and neutering is not only important to cut down on the overpopulation, but it also takes away some of those hormonal behaviors, which is what makes people dump their rabbits when they're no longer a cute, tiny little thing anymore. They become rambunctious teenagers, marking your house up with pee, poop, biting, getting aggressive because they're just so frustrated because they're wired to reproduce.
But if we intervene and spay or neuter, they don't go through that rambunctious phase, and they're still a member of the family that we're not trying to put out on the Southern State Parkway again.
Right. I mean, they do have to be a certain age in order to spay and neuter safely. So there may be a few weeks of that you have to tolerate some of these behaviors, but in the long run, it is worthwhile. We all listen, who among us doesn't go through a tough time or a phase?
I go through sometimes twice in this show. So I get it, man. Totally. I get it. Per episode, I mean, like, in an hour. So
we only have a couple of minutes left. I'm going to jump in to remind you guys, please tell us about your upcoming event and also how everyone can reach you and support you.
Oh, yeah. So there is an event at Tom's Pet Supply in Astoria, Queens on the 27th of this month. Please check our social media to learn all about it. And there you can come and meet rabbits in a casual setting and talk to knowledgeable volunteers about what is involved in their care. So it's an opportunity to meet some bunnies without first having to go through the application process. You can come and see who we have and meet all the characters and love on some bunnies, without having to go through all the stops before we can set up a private meet and greet.
that's this week, everybody. If you're listening,
Is it already?
It's this Sunday.
Oh my gosh, you're right. It's this Sunday.
Yeah. Wow.
Yes. This Sunday.
Can anybody find me some bunny to love?
And what you want a bunny to love?
She was doing a cute
Somebody to love.
Somebody to love. Yeah, you know what? I think you might be the one that would get qualified out when they went through the application and looked at all the animals on the list. I'm just saying.
Don't tell them.
I'm not telling them. I'm telling. Look, you think Barry's gonna not tell them? Like they're gonna interview him, not just you. Look, Val,
really quickly,
I'll adopt a bunny and I'll send it down to you.
Perfect.
Didn't say that. No one's listening. No big deal. It's just a show. It's just a radio.
On October 11th of this year, we are breaking out the inaugural event for this show, which is going to be called the Compassion Awards. And we're going to have a couple of honorees that we won't name them yet, but it is going to be a night of animal lovers, people in business who support animals. It's going to be rescuers, trappers, advocates, all my heroes. This is our tribe. And please mark your calendars for October 11th at the Refuge in Melville. You're going to want to be there. Tommy D.
Leave it, Val. We got to leave it there. We're running out of time.
Take us home.
All right, I'm bringing us home. So actually, if you're looking, this is our new business card. Check it out, right? Very cool. And on the back, it has a quote that we close the show with every week, which I will read to you right now. So in his total commitment to nonviolence, Gandhi always remembered the animals by saying the greatness of a nation and its moral progress can be judged by the way its animals are treated. Make it a great day, everybody. We are your pals. Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you
for having us.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.